Good morning. I thought we would do something fun and make a little mug rug for Mother's Day. It's coming up soon, and these are easy to make, and you can make several of them if you want, or just one. You will need a ruler that's about 6.5 inches square and has 1/8 measurements, 1/8 measurements on it. This is an Omni Grid ruler, and it's wonderful. I love it. Get yourself some tape. This is also by Omni. Comes in a 3-pack. There's a yellow, an orange, and I think a green. Anyway, they last forever, and you can use them on the back of your ruler, as I have done here, to mark the dimensions that you need. For this particular little block that we're going to make, this is a 5-inch, about 5.5 inch square that we're going to make. You will need 2 3/8 and also 1 3/8. I'm sorry, 2 1/8. 2 1/8 for your square. That'll be your center, 2 1/8. And then for your strips going around the square, we will use 1 3/8. Okay, so I've marked that long, as you can see here, because I've used it to cut my strips. Now, you'll need a piece of batting, and I just cut the batting the size of the ruler at 6.5 inches. That gives us plenty when we're quilting to go ahead and not have it run off the edge. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold this in half and press it a little bit in the middle there, and I'm going to fold it in half again and kind of press it. And I just kind of want to guesstimate the center of this block here so I can put my starting square there. I'm going to take my glue stick and just give it a little dab in the middle. And this is a Soline glue stick. You can use an Elmer's glue stick, a washable school glue, anything will work. You could just pin it if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to set that on there and kind of center it. If it isn't perfectly squared up to your edges, don't worry, because we'll be doing that later. Okay, I have cut several pieces here. You're going to need 4 different strips that are going to go around and your center square. So again, the center square is 2 1/8 square. I have fussy cut this because isn't that cute, that little hummingbird and the flowers in the center? I thought that was sweet. This is just out of some bundle of scraps that I had. Okay, so we will take, let's see what, I think I'll start with this. I'm going to set this right sides together on the edge of my square here, and we're just going to sew 1/4 inch along that edge right there. And we're just going to sew to the end of this right here, to the end of the little square that we have on there. And then we're going to fold that back. You can finger press it. Okay. Now we're going to take our next piece and we're going to go right along the edge and leave some fabric hanging over the edge there. It doesn't matter. Okay. So you can see that. And we're going to just start at the edge of your last piece. Stitch along to the edge of your square, and then we will take that and we'll trim off this excess. Just use some scissors, or you can cut it with your rotary cutter if you want to fold back and use a ruler, but you don't have to. Okay, now we're going to go and finger press that real good. Got a little extra stuff on there. Okay, now I'm going to take my next piece. I liked these. They have selvage on them, which I thought was kind of cute and interesting. So I think I'm going to use this for my next piece, and I'm just going to line it up along here. And I want to have it be kind of like about 1/4 inch over on my piece there. And I'm going to sew along the edge of that. Let's see if I will catch that. Let's go a little bit in further. I don't like that. Okay, change of plans. Change of plans. I think I'll leave that for the outside. We will take this next darker piece. You can use whatever fabrics you want. Go through your scrap pile. These are great for scraps. And you can just make a bunch of them up if you want for any occasion, but Mother's Day is coming and it's always nice to have a mug rug for your mom. There we go. I know I would like that. Okay, and we're gonna finger press that, and we're gonna trim off this little piece that's overhanging here. Okay, finger press, and again, take your next piece. You'll notice I'm taking the same pieces as I go around here. Okay, and we're gonna finger press that, and we'll go ahead and trim that off. So fold back, make sure you're folding back your batting out of the way when you trim this, and just trim that excess off. And then there's a little bit on this side too. If you've sewn through your back there, just don't worry about it. You can pull it loose. It comes loose very easy. And then just trim that off. That just makes it nice and neat when you go to get everything pressed and put together. Okay, so far we've gone with 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to work our way around this block, okay? I'm going to go in for another light color here, I think. And we'll do that right there. Okay, again, we're going to fold back our batting and trim off that excess. The nice thing about a log cabin block is you don't have to measure everything. You can, I mean, you could get real fussy and measure all your bits and pieces, but you can just scrap it up and it's fun. Okay, let's do this one right here. So you need your center fabric, and then you're going to need 4 fabrics, 4 strips that can go around the outside, and that will make this block really quick. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you would be so kind as to hit the subscribe button and the like and leave a comment, we would love it. It helps our algorithm. Okay, now I'm going to put this one in on the outside here, I think. Yeah. And I want that to go like right about there. Okay. This might look kind of weird, but I don't care. I'm just kind of like this little selvage, and let's see what it looks like when we're done. Okay. And because I've stitched it on like that, I don't have to flip or turn anything, but I will trim off this back here. Level with what I did before. There we go. Get rid of those. And then I'm going to take this and go down this side with it. Kind of line that up a little bit. we go. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take my ruler and I'm going to trim this down to 5.5 inches. And what I want to do is I want to line up in the middle of my square here. I've got a square right here, and I'm going to try and put the diagonal on each corner of my square. So let's see, right there. Oh, come on, eyeballs. There we go. All right, that's too big, so let's bring it down this way. And that's going to give me just about what I need there. Let's go about 1/8 of an inch more. Yeah, that still gives me plenty. Okay, I'm going to stand up to cut this because I do not have the leverage in my hands any longer to do this when I'm sitting down. So I want to make sure I have 5.5 going around. Yep, right about there. And as long as you line up your diagonal in the middle, you'll have a nice square. Okay, so I've trimmed off those two sides. And then turn this around. And I'm going to line up 5.5 inches. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we have a little bit extra on this one side, and that doesn't matter. That's going to get covered up in the binding. Okay, so there's my little square. It's cut at 6.5 inches. I'm going to lay my piece right on there, and then I'm going to go ahead and quilt this real quickly, just stitch in the ditch. I'm going to start in the middle, right here. Leave your needle down and turn the corner and just stitch right in the ditch. Stitched all of our little pieces down. I'm going to go around the outside of this about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, very close to the edge. And this is just to anchor it so when we go to put our binding on, it will be easy to attach. I have a kitty cat helper up here today. She wants to sit on my table and watch. Okay, we are done. Now we're going to trim off this outside edge. I kind of like that frilly business on there. Okay, you're going to need a strip that's 1.5 inches wide and long enough to go around your piece. So if these sides are 5.5, you'll need 22 plus about 4 more. So probably about 26 inches will do it. Okay, so that's our little mug rug. Cute, huh? You could put a I love you mom sticker on it or something, you know, a little tag. I've cut a piece of fabric that I'm going to use for my binding, and I'm going to start from the back, and I'm going to just fold this in just a little bit. And let's see, I want that to go maybe down here. Okay, so I'm going to start right there, and I'm going to just tuck a pin in. Grab a pin here. And I'm tucking it in this way because I don't want to stitch over it, but I want to have it secured so I can maneuver my fabric. We're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, and you're going to go down 1/4 of an inch from the edge and stop with your needle down and turn, pivot, and then I like to back stitch off. So what I've done here so far is I've folded a piece of fabric back a little ways, and then I have stitched down to 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And then I'm going to fold this up, and I've created the miter, and then I'm going to fold it down. Now, just come in like a thread or two from the edge. You don't want to start right at the edge, but you're going to sew again 1/4 of an inch down to the end, and you're going to stop 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Now, I don't know what kind of a machine you have. This is a Bernina Quilter's Edition, and the Bernina feet have the 1/4 inch measurement right here, so I can see that I need to stop right there. If you don't have that, you can pull your fabric along and then you can mark 1/4 of an inch and you'll know when to stop. Okay, back stitch off. You don't have to cut the thread, you can just pull it forward if you want. I cut it because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. So again, to miter the corner, you fold up and then bring it down. And you want it to be right at the edge of your fabric there. And you're going to start in just a couple of threads in, okay? And then we're going to go down this side, stop 1/4 inch, needle down, and stitch off the back, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and pull your fabric up, finger press your miter. There we go. Couple threads in again. I like to, when I'm putting my binding on like this, I like to sew from the back side and finish on the front, because I think you get a prettier stitch. Okay, it's our last corner. Back stitch off. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to finger press my miter, pull down, make sure it's even with the edge. We're going to start a couple threads in, and we're going to stitch right over the top of where we started. So you remember we started right here with the folded edge. Now we're going to stitch and we're going to leave this edge raw. Okay, but we're going to go in just a little ways. There we go. All right, so we've stitched a little bit in, and I'm going to trim off this excess tail here now. Be careful not to cut your fabric beneath. Okay, now we can turn this around and press our corners out, just like this, see? Okay. Now we're going to fold this edge right here. We're going to fold this in, level with our fabric edge, and then turn it over. And you can see you'll get a nice little turn there. You can put a clip in that and kind of work that fabric down in the corner and fold your. Don't worry about mitering your edges yet, or your corners, I mean. You're gonna just get your edges in place first, okay? This is what's known as a single fold binding, and on something small like this, it's just perfect. Okay. And this is the edge where we came over the top, just like that. I'm going to tack a little clip on there to hold it. Okay. And our last edge here, we're going to go ahead and fold your corners in. If you kind of keep them upright and kind of work that fabric down, you'll find it's very simple. Okay, there we go. Nice and neat. Okay, we've got our 4 edges on. Now we're going to go back and do our corners. Okay, so we've got this. We're going to press, finger press off down the bottom and then fold it up, and you will have a perfect little miter right there. Okay, put a clip on it. So again, you're going to bring this down and fold this up, and your corner should just miter perfectly there for you, okay? Bring this down, just smooth it down with your finger, and then bring the other edge up. And your goal is to match, and sometimes you might need to use like a stiletto to hold this in place while you bring that up. Your goal is to get this little corner matched up perfectly, okay? That's the goal. If it's not perfect, it's okay. Your mom's going to love you anyway. Okay. There we go. Okay, we have got everything clipped into place, and now we're ready to top stitch. So pick an edge that you want to start on. It doesn't matter where you start. And I have an open toe foot here, and what I'm doing is I'm stitching just right along this edge here. I'm going to stitch right along this edge. And you can see on this one how we've stitched right along the edge. So you may have a foot that lets you guide it. I have one, but I prefer to use this method. It's just my preference. And you just start and secure your stitches, and then I'm gonna probably boost this up to about a 4. Okay. This is where a stiletto comes in really nice, because you can take your clip off and hold things in place till you get down there. Leave your needle in and turn the corner, and if you need to go stitch back out, you can. Okay. So funny, I was talking with a friend the other day about things we used to use when we sewed, and things that we didn't have, tools that we have now, and how different quilting is now from what it was like when we were young and learning. Here we go. Okay, turn the corner. A little white thread there. I'll have to deal with that. There, I'll tuck it in. Okay. There's something so relaxing about sewing. I don't know for you, but for me, it's just my happy place. I was thinking about how I want to quilt that luminary quilt, and I think I figured it out. It's going to be a little fussy, but I'm kind of excited about getting it on the long arm, and I had some client quilts I needed to take care of first before I got mine on there, because I know mine's going to be on for about a week at least. Okay, now back stitch just a little bit to secure that, and then go ahead and cut your threads. And then we're gonna trim this right here. Okay, so we have a beautiful little mug rug. I left the white thread in the back. If I was gonna really be detailed about this, I would probably use a thread that matched. But when you stitch from the back and then you go to the front, on your binding, you will notice that you have a stitch line, and it falls on your backing fabric. So put a bobbin in that matches your backing fabric, and then you don't have to worry about it. You'll have a beautiful little finish. Isn't that cute? A little hummingbird with the flowers, and we got a little fringe going on here. It's kind of fun. So anyway, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and the grandmoms, and the moms to be. And I hope you'll try this out and make yourself a little mug rug for your mommy. All right, thanks. That was fun. I'll talk to you soon.